Success is the ultimate form of retribution. After a decade in the shadows, I, Leo Sterling, returned to the very boardroom where my name was once erased. The air in this room used to feel heavy with tradition, but today it felt like it was waiting for a revolution. The silence of the executives spoke louder than any welcome ever could. They say blood is thicker than water, but in this family it was thinner than paper. 10 years ago, I stood outside our family estate, cast out into the cold. My father didn't see a son, he saw a liability. My brother didn't see a sibling, he saw a rival to be eliminated. I was left with nothing but a suitcase and a burning need to prove them wrong. The years that followed were a blur of hunger and code. In a basement that smelled of damp concrete and instant noodles, I began to build. I didn't need their inheritance or their approval. I had something better, a vision of a world where data replaced intuition and where logic reigned supreme over legacy. I lived in the glow of the screen. Every line of code I wrote was a strike against the wall they built around me. While they were attending galas and maintaining appearances, I was training an intelligence that could outthink them all. My fingers moved faster than their doubts. I wasn't just coding a program, I was coding my path back to the top of the mountain. Nexus AI was the result, a neural network capable of optimizing entire global supply chains in milliseconds. It was beautiful, cold, and perfect. It saw the patterns they missed and the inefficiencies they ignored. It was the weapon I needed to dismantle the crumbling empire they were so desperate to cling to. While my creation grew, Sterling & Sons began to wither. They were fighting a war with wooden shields in an age of drones. I watched from afar as their warehouses grew silent and their machinery began to rust. The weight of their own arrogance was finally pulling them under, just as I knew it would. The empire was bleeding. The contrast was undeniable. In the outside world, the industry was evolving. Smart warehouses, driven by the very technology I pioneered, were setting new standards. Efficiency wasn't just a goal, it was the baseline for survival. My family's company was a relic of the past, standing still while the future accelerated past them. My brother Mark, the golden child, was the first to buckle under the pressure. I saw the reports, the frantic board meetings, the desperate attempts to secure loans. He was out of his depth, drowning in a sea of red ink he didn't understand. Panic is the enemy of strategy, and Mark was nothing if not panicked. Then came the moment of truth. An anonymous offer was placed on my father's desk, a chance to save the Sterling name by merging with an unknown entity called Nexus. He didn't know the hand that was feeding him was the same one he had pushed away years ago. He was desperate enough to believe in miracles. The day of the merger, I decided it was time to reveal the face behind the screen. I walked through those double doors not as a beggar, but as a conqueror. The look on their faces was worth every night spent in that basement. I was no longer the outcast. I was the owner of their destiny. I didn't waste time on pleasantries. I laid it all bare. I showed them the years of waste, the nepotism that had blinded them, and the mathematical certainty of their failure. I stripped away the prestige of the Sterling name to reveal the hollow shell underneath. The board was silent, confronted by the cold, hard truth. But I didn't just come to destroy. I came to rebuild. I showed them what Nexus could do, how it could turn their losses into gains and their stagnation into growth. I presented a future where Sterling & Sons didn't just survive, but thrived. It was a vision so compelling, even my harshest critics couldn't look away. Mark couldn't handle the humiliation. He screamed about betrayal, about how I was stealing what was rightfully his. But rights are earned, not inherited. I watched him crumble, his rage as ineffective as his leadership had been. I didn't need to say a word. The numbers had already finished the fight for me. My father's reaction was different. He didn't yell, he just looked at me, really looked at me, for the first time in a decade. I saw the moment he realized his mistake. It wasn't just a business failure, it was a failure of character. In his eyes, I saw the heavy weight of 1,000 regrets he could never take back. The pen felt heavy as he signed over the company. With a single stroke, the empire moved from the hands of the past into the hands of the future. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about the validation. I had saved the family legacy by destroying the way they had lived it. The transition was complete. The transformation was swift. At dawn, the new Sterling Logistics headquarters hummed with the sound of progress. Digital screens flickered to life, and autonomous fleets prepared for departure. We weren't just a shipping company anymore. We were a tech giant. The world was finally seeing the Sterling name the way I intended. Mark left that day, carrying the remains of his corporate life in a cardboard box. He walked out into the same rain he had once watched me disappear into. Life has a poetic way of coming full circle. I felt no joy in his departure, only the cold satisfaction of justice finally being served. Tonight I look out over the city and I don't see obstacles, I see opportunities. The empire is no longer a crumbling wall, it's a foundation. My family cast me out, but in doing so they gave me the world. My name is Leo Sterling and my legacy is just beginning. The future belongs to those who build it.